Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with the Soul. I'm Rita Hickman, and I live stream Monday through Friday at 8:15 Central Standard Time. And we talk about topics which are near and dear to women and the life that women are trying to create for themselves. So let me tell you a little bit about myself before we start this next 2-week session. The next 2-week session is going to be on forgiveness and the body-mind part that forgiveness play that the part that body-mind plays in forgiveness. So what makes me good at what I do? So when I was a child, when I was very young, I had some pretty traumatic things happen to me. And I then spent the next few decades learning how to forgive those things that had happened. Learning how to forgive the betrayals and the heartbreak and the abandonment and the neglect, and learning how to forgive all of those things. And it sent me on a journey. First of all, I had to survive the trauma that was happening. And then the next thing I needed to do was deal with the patterns and habits and physical effects that trauma had caused, that being exposed to unforgivable things would cause on your body and your mind. And that sent me on this incredible journey of studying Asian medicine and indigenous cultural medicines, from North Native American to South Native American to indigenous cultures from all over the world. And one of the things that I found is that everything is completely interconnected. So one of the challenges that I have with a lot of New Age personal growth is the focus is mainly on using your head to try to fix your head, using the same thing that you had a problem with to try to fix your thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are going on. So, it talks about attitude of gratitude. It talks about if you just change your mind, positive thinking, affirmations. It talks about all of those things, which are really, really great tools. But the problem with that is it misses one of the most fundamental problems that we're dealing with in today's world, which is our physical well-being. One of the things that I loved about studying Asian medicine and about studying all of these indigenous cultural medicines, one of the things I really loved about it is it talked about how you can heal one through another avenue. So if you're looking to heal your mind, you can heal it through your emotions. If you're looking to heal your emotions, you can do it through your body. If you're looking to heal your body, you can do it through your mind. So that's one of the reasons Louise Hay's book was so powerful, because it was about healing your body by using your mind. I take a little bit of the opposite approach. I talk about healing your mind and your heart, getting forgiveness, finding forgiveness by working on the physical things that you can control. Many of our obsessive thinking and paranoid thinking and inability to forgive and discomfort doesn't come because we have a broken brain or a broken heart. It comes because we have a broken body. And when we learn how we can use all of our resources to make our bodies feel better, to heal us down to the smallest DNA level, when we learn those sorts of things, then forgiveness comes easily, joy comes easily, bliss, peace, relationships, forgiveness. All of those things that we're looking to find in our life are really symptoms and side effects of how we feel. And when we learn how to control or manage or influence how we feel, hi Ro, when we learn how to manage and work with that, then all of those other things that religion says we should want, New Age spirituality says we should want, good morning Kathy, all of those things that society and our spiritual well-being is looking for can be healed through the body. Now, one of the first books that sent me on this path, which is kind of why I titled this next 2-week video series as I did, It was called Potatoes, Not Prozac. And when I hit 30, I had all sorts of problems. I had IBS. I was angry all the time. I had all these things to forgive. I was exhausted. I had all of these terrible physical ailments. I hurt. It was hard to get out of bed. I didn't feel good until noon. You know, all that malaise that people say, well, just get over it, move on, figure it out. People have it much worse in other parts of the world. But I'd hit my limit. You know, I'd hit the limit where I couldn't stand it anymore. And that got me really diving deep into these old, very ancient ways of healing ourselves. Asian medicine talks about 5 different elements. And the elements are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And in these 5 elements, everything in the universe exists. Everything can fit into one of these 5 elements. And they're all super interconnected. So you can heal all of these, you can find forgiveness, you can find connection with a one, you can find your soulmate, you can do all those things when you do physical things with your body. I found it was easier to control my environment and to control the things I did with my body than it was to actually, good morning, Barbara, than it was to find forgiveness when I was in an unforgiving place, or to love myself when I certainly didn't feel loving. I felt like garbage. It's really tough to find those higher level thoughts and feelings when you don't feel good. And so we have to really start at the basics, which is, what do we need to do to feel good? And it's rarely what you think. And it pulls from body mind, it pulls from physical choices like your blood sugar and hydration. It pulls from visualization, feng shui, and how we see the world, how we set up our environment. It pulls from metaphors and beliefs and the thoughts and feelings that we feed ourselves. So forgiveness seems to be a pretty big topic on everybody's minds. And I think forgiveness is a big topic because we feel so out of control of it. You know, we're told we need to forgive, but nobody tells us how to forgive. Because forgiveness isn't just about telling yourself, I need to forgive, I want to forgive, you know, over and over and over. Because you still feel that anger and that hurt and that rage and that discomfort. You still end up triggered. You still end up frustrated. Those feelings don't go away just because you tell yourself you need to forgive. What happens is forgiveness comes because you deal with how you feel. So, as I said, one of my books that sent me on a really good path, I ran into because I hit my limit and I finally went to see a doctor and I said, you know what, I have all of these stomach issues, abdominal issues, I have all of these problems going on. And he said, aha, you have IBS. I said, okay, great. And he said, here's some medication. After that, I took the medication for a couple days, and then I decided to go to a Native American conference because I'd always had a lot of interest in Native American culture and methods and things like that. Even though I'm Irish, so I think that it comes from my Celtic background. But I had a passion for it. So I went to something called Wisdom of the Elders. And at Wisdom of the Elders, I found people who connected with me on a very emotional level. They triggered me in a lot of emotional ways. And for about a month, all of my symptoms magically disappeared. I didn't understand it. I couldn't figure it out. I thought, I'm healed. But then after about a month or so, my symptoms started to come back. The anger and the bitterness and resentment and the stomach issues and the burning and the heartburn and the blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff that comes along. But it got me really curious. I said, why is meeting people, haven't changed anything else in my life. I wasn't taking the medication anymore. I said, why has meeting people who affect me on a positive emotional level, why did they take all of my symptoms away? So in the book Potatoes Not Prozac, it talks about blood sugar, and it talks about how low blood sugar has an effect on how we feel and how we think and on our mental health, and that it was something that wasn't really explored at the time. So in the book, it talks about how potatoes are one food that helps keep your blood sugar level, so that when you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar isn't so deeply in the hole that that you're angry and hurt and frustrated. You know the phrase that you're hangry, that you're hungry and angry, and that has a lot to do with your blood sugar. And so it taught me how to keep my blood sugar level, ways to eat throughout the day, so that I didn't wake up feeling as if I was in a rage, feeling as if I hated life and I hated the world and I didn't want anything to do with it, even though I was a really positive person, but only in the second half of the day. Only after I made it past noon, was I able to tap into my positive thoughts and positive thinking. So that started me to explore about the role that water plays, about Candace Pert's work, who is one of my favorite scientists. She's since passed, but you can watch her in the movie What the Bleep, and she studied and focused on the role that emotions play in our health and well-being, because our body releases emotional chemicals, and how we have cell receptors, and how every emotion hooks into a cell receptor, and the message travels all the way down into the nucleus of our cell and affects our DNA. I thought, you mean my emotions and what I'm feeling can change my DNA, can tell what parts of my DNA to turn on and what parts to turn off? It can mend the broken DNAs? Are you kidding me? So if I eat potatoes, I can heal my DNA? Wait a second. And that got me into the information that's been around for thousands of years about how, yes, that's actually very, very possible. You can heal yourself on the deepest level through the choices that we make every day. And I'll even use a story from this morning. I've been, as everybody, I fall off the wagon. That's for sure. I fall off the wagon because I get busy, I get things that I have to do, life I have to live, and I don't make good choices. I get out of exercising regularly, or intimate connection with people, or keeping my blood sugar level because I just had to have that piece of key lime pie. I have a very rich and full life, and I make sure that I know what the consequences of my choices will be, so that I can mediate them, so that I can compensate and balance them out. So if I'm going to have a piece of key lime pie before I go to bed, I also make sure that I have a lot of other food in my stomach, other complex carbohydrates, so that I don't get the sugar, rush, and then I don't get the sugar dive. So I woke up this morning, and I've been dealing with a little bit of dehydration in the mornings, and that causes it caused a little bit of discomfort for me. So of course I drink water is the first thing that I do. But then I started to think about how we encourage pain to keep going, how we encourage our body to not heal itself. So one of the neat things I learned through Asian medicine and through New Age, New Age personal growth sorts of things, is wherever we focus our mind and our thoughts is where our body sends white blood cells, red blood cells, oxygen, nervous system signals. It sends all of those things to the part of our body that we focus on. It's one of the reasons that energy healing is so effective, because you have someone helping you focus on a part of your body that maybe you've abandoned. What tends to happen is when something hurts, we go someplace else. And this is the connection between forgiveness and body-mind stuff. So when something hurts, we tend to take our consciousness out of it because it's too uncomfortable, right? When our knee hurts, we try to focus on the positive things in life and not the things which are uncomfortable. So one of our escapes is our head. And so when we put our consciousness, our body consciousness and our awareness into our head, then our body, then our whole system says, you want to think, don't you? You want to problem solve this. You want to figure this out. And that's where the obsession starts to come from, is when we put our consciousness into our mind, into our thoughts, then of course it's going to supercharge that, and we're going to end up obsessing about something. We won't be able to get out of that. And that's one of the things about not being able to forgive, is when someone or something hurts us, we avoid that hurt, we go into our mind, and our mind starts to try to figure out why we hurt. And then we can't get past those 4 or 5 thoughts. It's almost like a gravitational pull. And we'll obsess and think, and we can't get out of it, and then we're frustrated. So one of the things that you can do is bring your consciousness back into the parts of your body which are uncomfortable. So I did this morning. You know, I really would have rather run away in my mind and think about more positive things, or maybe get up and take a shower and do this. I said, no, what I want to do is I want to send love and healing energy and consciousness into this part of my body. I want to relax and open myself to feeling what's going on, so my body actually heals itself. So that's what I did. I spent about 10-15 minutes, and I brought my consciousness and my awareness into the parts of my body that were uncomfortable, and that opens the blood vessels. It sends nervous system signals, as I said. It sends white blood cells. It sends everything that part of my body needs to heal, needs to feel better. And so then I could have focused on all of my problems, you know, that might be coming up, or my worries or past issues or the day. I could have focused on that and said, no, I'm going to think positively, you know, all the while feeling really uncomfortable. Or I could deal with the problem at its source, which was, there's a part of me that's uncomfortable and I want it to feel better. So what do? I'm going to love it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to send my thoughts and my feelings to that part of my body, and so it can heal itself and it can start to feel better, because the body is so miraculous. If any healer ever tells you that they're healing you, they're missing the biggest point, which is your body is such a mysterious, unknown, almost still unimaginable wonderment. Our body has this ability to create all sorts of crazy stuff. And our job, my job as a healer, is to help people, help people's bodies heal themselves, to get the blocks out of the way, to get the issues and the nervous system blocks and the walls, to get all the things that are in the way of your body healing itself, clean them out, so that your body can do the miraculous things that it can. And as a side effect, when you heal yourself, now is when you're able to start forgiving, and when you're able to start really feeling the love that you want to feel. So you need to focus on your felt sense first, and after that comes the mental and the emotional well-being, because it's very hard with your mind alone to take away an achy knee, to take away an upset stomach, or tense shoulders. You know, we tell ourselves all the time to relax, and those do work, but they're only one small piece of the puzzle. They're only the most minuscule aspect of how we feel better. So you can focus on the mind, but many of us have been like, well, I focused on my mind. I think positive thoughts, and I still have these problems. I still have these issues. They haven't gone away. That's because you need to bring everything together. And it starts with the basics, the things that you can control, which are how much water you drink, how much fiber you have, what's your blood sugar, what's your vitamin D, you know, all those basic physical things that we can control. And when we start taking back our control of those sorts of environmental aspects, the colors that we wear for the day, the whether we have a picture of nature on our wall, whether we spend time walking or connecting with nature, all of those sorts of things. I can control those a lot easier than I can control how I feel. And so you start to learn how to make different choices that make you feel so much better than you ever thought that you could. And when stuff comes up, like this morning for me, you learn how to clear it out, how to have your body help heal it so you can get on with your life. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about all the things that I've used throughout my life to get me to the place, to get me right here, and creating the life that I've always wanted. I'm surrounded by people who love me, that I love them back, who are generous and thoughtful and kind. I've got an amazing business and amazing clients, and it just goes to prove that the law of attraction works really well. But the law of attraction has to be on a body and a mind and a heart level. It can't just be with thoughts or affirmations or mantras that you say. It has to be on a level that incorporates your whole being and your whole self. And that's what we're going to explore for the next couple weeks. So I have a little bit of a homework assignment for you today. If you want to, I want you to pay attention to parts of yourself during the day that call attention to themselves. In the healing industry, we say it all the time. You know, my knee is calling attention to itself. My heart is calling attention to itself. Or my little toe, because I just stubbed it against the door. You know, when something is calling attention to yourself, I want you to take a breath. I want you to take a drink of water. And then I want you to bring your consciousness into that part of your body. In fact, I'm teaching a class on that today, on bringing your consciousness back into yourself, and the things that you can do that encourage that. So when you feel something today, when something's calling attention to itself, I want you to, as I said, take a breath, take a drink of water, and bring your consciousness into there for as long as you have time for. If you've got 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, that's the best, because it usually takes, it's not instantaneous. It usually takes about 15, 20 minutes for those sorts of things to clear, for your body to say, oh, you want me to do something? All right, I'll do it. It's a little bit laborious to go through the mind into the body. So that's your homework assignment for today. When something calls attention to yourself, send healing, loving energy and consciousness into it. You can even go down to the level of imagining how the cells work, imagining the exchange of water and the electrical signals and blood going there. There's this great research project about kids and cancer. And it talked about kids who used visualization on their cancer of using Space Invaders at the time. And this is at least 15, 20 years old. This isn't new. They talked about how kids who used visualization of Space Invaders, coming in and attacking and killing the cancer cells, boosted their immune system. That's because when you find a fun way, a loving way, a positive way to bring your consciousness into a part of your body that's sick, then you're telling your body, I want you to heal this. I want you to take care of it. I want you to work your magic and work your miracles. And it does. So that's what I want you to do today. Tomorrow we'll have another homework assignment, moving you in that positive direction. But this is a beautiful way to start. Loving yourself, sending loving thoughts. And if you can't send loving thoughts, at least visualize how your body works in that part of your body, and how the blood's moving in and out, and the body is healing itself. Imagine maybe even it knitting itself together, or flushing the inflammation out of your system. You're welcome, Barbara. So I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 Central Standard Time. And if you'd like to get a replays because you think you might miss them, go to inspiremassage.com and sign up anywhere on our email list. You're welcome, Kathy, because I'll send out the replays and the inspirations so that we can all stay on track and really move to that higher level of happiness and well-being and bliss that we deserve, because you totally deserve it. I deserve it, you deserve it, and all of us does. So who knew that eating potatoes and that healing parts of your body would lead to forgiveness? But it does, because when you feel good, when you feel loving, you're able to send that loving and that goodness out into the world, and you're able to forgive. So let's get you there, okay? So have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Bye.